This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. The government says it has a BPL reform plan. National Security Minister Wayne Monroe hitting out at Long Island MP Adrian Gibson for his comments about judges, and hitting out at Michael Pintard, the F&M leader, for using house time to campaign. And the PLP chairman lashing out at the licensees group about the GBPA situation. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, May 10th, 2024. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Also this morning in business, we are talking with the Department of Public Health about the electronic health records, the new plan. They'll give us all the details about that today. That's all ahead, but first it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, the Davis administration has a reform plan for BPL. That's according to Attorney General Ryan Pinder, speaking in the Senate yesterday on the electricity bill and the natural gas bill. Pinder is saying that, quote, transitioning to cleaner, more efficient fuels is pivotal for the Bahamas, positioning us as a regional leader in the energy generation transition. We will actively explore renewable and efficient energy solutions, including solar and LNG, for a greener and more cost-effective future. Pinder said that tailoring the energy solutions to each island's specific challenges and capabilities will mean that they'll be seeking the production of 27 megawatts of solar throughout the Family Islands and at least 60 megawatts of solar for New Providence, with 15 megawatts of commercial and residential solar opportunities in the future. He said the government was unwavering and that the plan and path would be clear as they move forward toward 2030. He said, quote, we move to reduce the energy burden on most vulnerable communities while simultaneously shoring up our renewable resources and improving generation supply and reliability. As National Security Minister Wayne Monroe discussed the trial by judge alone Bill 2024 passed in the House on Wednesday, he said suggestions by members of the opposition that judge bias is a potential issue are, quote, disrespectful and inappropriate. Monroe, speaking at a press conference at the Office of the Prime Minister yesterday, saying, quote, a lot of what fell from the other side is disrespectful and inappropriate to be said in Parliament. The talk about bias is to suggest that a judge will not be true to his judicial oath. Judges swear to do right by all men without fear or favor. Judges, if they have an issue of bias, as they know, move immediately. Monroe also said yesterday that question time in the House of Assembly, during which Prime Minister Philip Davis and ministers refused to answer most of the questions put to them, was nothing more than a cynical exercise by opposition leader Michael Pintard. At that press conference yesterday, Monroe said that the questions posed require the input of technocrats and that in some cases, coordination with outside organizations. He also noted that ministers are currently occupied with preparing for the budget, something he said Pintard should be well aware of. PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell lashing out at the Freeport Licensees Association, which expressed disappointment in a speech the Prime Minister delivered in Grand Bahama on Monday, and also hitting out at the Grand Bahama Port Authority over its response to the Prime Minister's address. Mitchell stated that the two press releases were, quote, unfortunate and ill-conceived and misdirected, and that he accused them of responding in a combative manner to the Prime Minister's address. Investigations continue in a police-involved shooting. Police shot and killed a man in the Delaport area of western New Providence around 1:30 a.m. Thursday after the man allegedly fired at officers. Police say that one of the officers was also shot and has been detained in hospital. Police said that officers from the Cable Beach Police Station were responding to reports of suspicious activity from concerned citizens in the area when they encountered a man who was acting suspiciously. Police say that as officers were exiting the police vehicle, that individual shot at them. It was at this point that one of the officers shot the culprit. During the exchange of gunshots, one of the officers was hit in the upper body and was taken to the hospital by emergency services personnel. We're told his condition is stable at this time. Overseas, heavy fighting between Israeli troops and Palestinian militants on the outskirts of the southern Gaza city of Rafah, leaving crucial nearby aid crossings inaccessible and causing over 100,000 people to flee north. That's according to a United Nations official. Israel's plans for a full-scale invasion of Rafah appear to be on hold for now, with the United States deeply opposed and stepping up pressure by threatening to withhold arms. But even the more limited incursion launched earlier this week threatens to worsen Gaza's humanitarian catastrophe. Heavy fighting was also underway in northern Gaza, where Hamas appeared to have once again regrouped in an area where Israel has already launched punishing assaults. Over 1 million Palestinians have fled to Rafah to escape fighting elsewhere, with many packed into UN-run shelters or squalid tent camps. The city on the border with Egypt is also a crucial hub for bringing in food, medicine, fuel, and other goods. And Argentina's biggest trade unions mounting one of their fiercest challenges to the libertarian government of President Javier Milei, staging a mass general strike Thursday that led to the cancellation of hundreds of flights and halted key bus, rail, and subway lines. Main avenues and streets, as well as major transportation terminals, were left eerily empty. Most teachers couldn't make it to school, and parents kept their children at home. Trash collectors walked off the job as well, as did health workers, except for those in emergency rooms. The 24-hour strike against the president's painful austerity measures and contentious deregulation threatened to bring the nation of 46 million to a standstill, as banks, businesses, and state agencies also closed in protest. This marked the second nationwide union strike since Milei came to power last December, slashing spending, laying off government workers, and freezing all public works projects in a bid to rescue Argentina from its worst financial crisis in 2 decades. It's time for your first look at sports, brought to you by Nays Pancake Place. The BTC World Athletics Relays Bahamas, hailed by World Athletics President Lord Sebastian Coe as a spectacular display of athleticism and cultural pride by the host country, lauding the local organizing committee for a job well done. But there's one global superstar who was not entirely satisfied. Noah Lyles, the American world champion, who's deemed the fastest man in the world right now, saying on X, formerly known as Twitter, that the two-day world relays were successful, but at the same time, he said he was emotionally and mentally drained because of a lack of boundaries at the warm-up track. Lyles and his American teammates went on to win 4 of the 5 relay events at the relays. He anchored the U.S. men's 4x100-meter relay team to a gold medal. He ran the third leg of the relay on Saturday, and they finished in 37.49 seconds to qualify. But he said, quote, "I would love to thank the Bahamas for hosting a very successful meet. The atmosphere was so energetic and welcoming. I'm just sorry I could not meet the atmosphere with the same energy because I was emotionally and mentally drained. This track meet was difficult, not because of the race, but the lack of boundaries at the warm-up track. There were so many people who would try to interact with me during my race preparations and while practicing. Management, athletes, and even coaches, I could not find time to dial into the competition. The saddest part about it is that this left me so drained that I had no energy after my race to approach fans with a smile and give them the energy I normally give. I might be the first to speak on how this affects athletes, but I know I'm not the only athlete that had this happen to them. I hope to see you all in the next track, well-rested and with tons of energy." Well, Lyles was one of the megastar attractions for the event. He was the winner of 3 gold medals at last year's World Championships in Budapest, Hungary. You can read more about what he's saying in today's Guardian Sports section. From the NBA, Donovan Mitchell helping the Cleveland Cavaliers blow out the Celtics 118-94. Their series now, the Eastern Conference semifinals, tied at 1 game apiece. And Luka Doncic scoring 29 points as the Dallas Mavericks topped the Oklahoma City Thunder 119-110 to tie their series at 1 apiece as well. And from the NHL, the Rangers beat the Hurricanes 3-2 to take a 3-0 series lead. That's sports, brought to you by Nays Pancake House. Nays Pancake House is back and ready to serve you. Visit them at their new location, the Chicken Shack, Fairfield East, Settlers Way, behind Sunshine Laundromat in Grand Bahama, near the fire station. Indulge in some of your favorite dishes. And remember to try some of the new menu items. They're serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Call them in Grand Bahama, 351-5456 to place your order. Nays Pancake Place. And it's time for your first look at weather, brought to you by Easy Car Sales. We've got an Atlantic deep layered ridge that's shifting eastwards across the Bahamas while supporting a stable dry air mass and a gentle to moderate breeze. There is a slight risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposed beaches, and the UV index will be very high during the afternoon hours. And due to the arid, very dry conditions throughout the country, bushfires are quite possible. So for today, for the northwest and central Bahamas, look for partly to mostly sunny and hot conditions with a passing shower, mainly over open waters. Wind southeast to southwest at 10 to 15 knots in the northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 10 knots, falling light and variable at times in the central and southeast Bahamas. Seas 2 to 4 feet in the northwest Bahamas, but 1 to 3 feet in the central and southeastern islands. Seas higher along Atlantic exposures. Temperatures today getting up to around 86 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius for highs. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 73 Fahrenheit, 23 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. This first look at weather brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Do you think you can't afford a new electric vehicle? Well, think again. Easy Car Sales has many models of affordable EVs competitively priced to suit your pocketbook and your lifestyle. And every electric car comes with your personal home charger. There's an EV waiting for you at Easy Car Sales. Find it on easy242.com.
Janae's Uniform Center, Chesapeake Road Warehouse Clearance Sale. Up to 50% off under the Big Tent only. Going on now. Everything under the tent must go. School uniforms, character raincoats, socks, fabrics and laces, backpacks, lunch bags, threads, zippers, ribbons, hair bubbles, and much more. Everything must go. Up to 50% off. Yes, up to 50% off. Save on selected school uniforms now. Restrictions may apply. Hurry into Janae's Chesapeake Road Tent Warehouse Clearance Sale. No exchanges or refunds on the items on sale. All sales are final.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Here's to the go-getters, the early risers, and the late-night dreamers. You, the visionaries, painting futures in your mind. In your studio, your office, your sacred space. Here's to the adventurers, explorers of every realm. To you, the innovators, turning the cogs of progress. In a world where connection is a lifeline, a pathway to possibilities. Alive is the perfect connection for everyone, every lifestyle, every day.
Visit BeAlive.com today.
Looking to elevate your gadget game, or are tech troubles simply slowing you down? Escape to a world of innovation at Custom Computers, your go-to store for the latest cutting-edge tech. Whether you need to upgrade your life with the best from Apple and Windows, or your device needs a little TLC, the Custom Computers Know-How Store is the destination for unbeatable expertise and quality repairs. With 2 convenient locations, there's a Custom Computers near you on Patton Street in Palmdale and Caves Village, or call 396-1100.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
The signs are clear. It's time to pay less for your current mortgage by switching to Scotiabank. Enjoy lower interest rates and no payments up to 2 months when you switch to Scotiabank today. Plus, we'll even pay your switch costs. It's that easy. Ready to switch to Scotiabank? Call us today at 242-356-1697 or visit bs.scotiabank.com to switch your mortgage to become mortgage-free faster.
Here's to the go-getters, the early risers, and the late-night dreamers. You, the visionaries, painting futures in your mind. In your studio, your office, your sacred space. Here's to the adventurers, explorers of every realm. To you, the innovators, turning the cogs of progress. In a world where connection is a lifeline, a pathway to possibilities. Alive is the perfect connection for everyone, every lifestyle, every day.
Visit BeAlive.com today.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's still. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. And coming up this morning, Dwight Strachan, by the way, coming up this morning in business, we're going to be talking about the electronic health records, the Department of Public Health introducing this and saying the training is underway in the department as part of the implementation of this system. We'll find out how that's going to work and how it's going to benefit you in Morning Blend Business. But ahead of that, we have a lot to talk about right now in the news. And in the news, of course, today is May 10th, and it is a bitter day for many Bahamians, remembering the Flamingo incident of 1980, 44 years ago now. And so we always pause to remember the 4 Bahamians who lost their lives in that tragedy. And we remember Fenric Starup, David Tucker, Edward Williams, and Austin Smith today and always. And be sure to pick up today's NASA Guardian. There's a very interesting story in today's Pulse section, our Siobhan Moss writing about it, and how some are trying to keep the memory of these 4 men alive and everybody on the Flamingo and the survivors of the tragedy. So be sure to pick that up and see that today. And, of course, visit the Defense Forces website and Facebook page. They always have history of the Flamingo incident on it, and you can, if you don't know, this unbelievable day for what was at the time a very new Royal Bahamas Defense Force. But again, we thank all of these men for their service to our country, and we pray for their souls. All right, so on this Friday in the news, some very interesting comments being made by the National Security Minister, Wayne Monroe, at the Office of the Prime Minister press conference yesterday, taking a swipe at some of the opposition MPs for the comments they made during the debate on the trial by judge alone bill, and also taking a swipe at opposition leader Michael Pintard for how he used question time in the House, accusing him of using the time to campaign. Let's get through that one first, and then we'll get to the concerns about what was said about judges, which many of you also said, but I guess it's not acceptable if it's done by a House member in the House on the record. All right, so our Rachel Scott writing these stories in the NASA Guardian today. Minister of National Security Wayne Monroe said yesterday question time in the House of Assembly on Wednesday, during which Prime Minister Philip Davis and ministers refused to answer questions. Most of the questions put to them was nothing more than a, quote, cynical exercise by opposition leader Michael Pintard. At that press conference yesterday, Monroe said that the questions posed require the input of technocrats and, in some cases, coordination with outside organizations. He also noted that ministers are currently occupied and are preparing for the budget, something that Pintard should know. So I'm sure the story will mention this, but of course, as was noted in the articles yesterday, many of these questions have been put out there from last year or before. So that excuse, well, anyway, let's see what Monroe is saying. He said, quote, the issue that arises over time is that the questions themselves require input from technical persons. Monroe addressing the issue because of his role as leader of government business in the House. He said, quote, so for instance, I'll give you an example of one of my questions. I've been asked to basically disclose what the security arrangement is for our borders. And so, as you may imagine, the technocrats can produce a full document that sets all this out. Some of it will relate to sensitive material from our partners, and you would have to get clearance from them to disclose it. Well, that sounds like an answer right there. I mean, you could say that, right? No? Okay, let's read on. Quote, some of it you wouldn't disclose for tactical reasons and national security reasons, and you would have to take an assessment over that. And so the technical folks will have to do their work and produce a product for me. That's the case across all of the questions for all of the ministers. Now, yesterday, there were questions for the Prime Minister. They basically were tabled in February of this year. They require involvement from the staff of the Ministry of Finance. The leader of the opposition, who's been in government previously, would know what time of year this is. This is preparation for the budget. And so he would have been well aware when he tabled the questions that the folk in the Ministry of Finance would be engaged in the budget preparation. And so it's a cynical exercise because he's well aware of that. They were in government for 4.5 years, and so he's well aware that at this time, the technocrats in the Ministry of Finance are engaged with meetings with other ministers like myself. I've had 2 meetings with them in person, and so he knows what the priorities are at this time, because the 29th of this month, we have to table the budget communication. Well, though Monroe argued that the process of finding answers to the questions is time-consuming, many of the questions Pintard asked have been on the agenda for months, some dating as far back as last October. Of the many questions asked by Pintard on Wednesday, only 2 were answered, both by Fox Hill MP and Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell. Questions put to Davis were repeatedly answered with, quote, the member is not prepared to answer that question at this time. Minister of Energy and Transport JoBeth Colby Davis responded to questions put to her about BPL, saying that she would not answer the questions until after the F&M's convention on June 1st. Many questioned the relevance of the convention in that context. Monroe said yesterday that Colby Davis was drawing attention to Pintard using question time as a campaign tactic. He explained, quote, what you saw in the House yesterday was a cynical exercise by somebody who was basically campaigning to keep in office come the 1st of June. It's no more, no less. And so when you saw Minister JoBeth Colby Davis advise that we'll answer the questions after June 1st, that is to draw that out to you. Perhaps we need to be more expressed when we're making these points, but you will remember that his question to JoBeth Colby Davis was, are we going to disclose whether she's going to issue a request for proposal over production of electricity? I think all of you in the press would have covered extensively the issue of the RFP over production of energy, so yet another cynical exercise. But Pintard asked a number of other BPL-related questions, many of which have been on the agenda for months, and again, the minister answered none of them. Monroe also noted, though, that the minister administration under which Pintard sat in the cabinet avoided question time altogether. He said, quote, in the last administration, they didn't treat with question time because they simply didn't schedule a sitting on the House on the second Wednesday of the month. You will see that in his administration, we schedule sittings for the House for the second Wednesday of the month, and we answer questions. Okay, let's get your reaction to that. What do you make of it? Does that sound like sense or more excuses? 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. We'll get to the comments about MPs and what they said about judges in just a bit. Let's hear what you have to say, though. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning.
And my expressions of gratitude on May 10th to the men who gave their lives and also to the ones who continue to serve. We are forever indebted to them. Having said that, sir,
before you go on, John, and I know you wrote a book about it. You can let people know about this. But listen to this text message, and I think we've got a problem here. This is this is so disrespectful. Dwight, you all think this is September 11th Day. You know how many people died in service to government? What type of person would send something like that?
I think it's a reflection that there's a whole lot more work to do in giving Bahamians a deeper sense of patriotism and helping them to appreciate what that day really, really means. I think a lot of Bahamians, there's still a long ways to go in that direction, but definitely a act of disrespect.
Very sad. Yeah. My goodness. Sorry to interrupt you. Continue, please.
Yes, 2 points with the commentary coming from the House of Assembly. First of all, let me just say that Minister Colby Davis is perhaps one of my more admired politicians in the PLP these days. I have a great deal of respect for the work that she has done and continues to do. Having said that, though, I feel that the response in saying that she is going to answer the leader of the opposition post the convention, I'm at a loss for exactly what that was supposed to mean. From my perspective, I believe that the opposition represents a very vital role in the political institution of the Bahamas. In many instances, they represent questions and concerns that the Bahamian public would also have. And I think a lot of times, if you listen to Monroe, he seems to be approaching it as if Pintard is working for himself. Whereas I do agree that all politicians have a role to work to be re-elected or remain elected. The idea that this is pretty much just about opposition politics, I think is in poor taste. But most importantly, you pointed out that these questions were submitted in a substantively early period of time for the government to have engaged the necessary expertise, if we can accept his explanation, and provide the Bahamian people. And I want to move away from saying the opposition because, again, these are questions the Bahamian people would like to have answered. And to the extent that Minister Monroe would narrow it down to their inability to deliver answers because they are engaged in other government business is just unacceptable. And finally, I want to say to Minister Monroe that this whole idea of, it's like he tends to talk down to the Bahamian people and expecting us to accept these little small-minded responses that the leader of the opposition is campaigning. Listen, Mr. Monroe, get serious. This is about the business of the Bahamian people. And when those questions are posed, I believe, he said to us, well, the opposition did the same thing. Again, another small-minded point of view in that if somebody else did it, then it justifies them doing it. So I'm not happy at all with his response, and I think that for a man of his level of intellectual ability and his ability to understand the issues, he has to do a better job with delivering for the Bahamian people. Have a good day, Dwight.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's take another call. Good morning. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Yes, good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. I just landed from Freeport. Headed to a funeral, but I heard your comments this morning.
This is Opposition Leader Michael Pintard. Okay.
Yes, just to quickly respond. Again, I think every administration has an obligation to answer questions, and so to the extent that questions were not answered, when we were in power is regrettable. But I did point out to Mr. Monroe and his team on more than one occasion that I challenged them to go back on the record and examine any question that they raised in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture or the Ministry of Agriculture while I served as minister in both of those portfolios, and find questions that were unanswered. In every instant I was in the House of Assembly, I sought to answer the question in a fulsome way as possible, because I believe that that is our obligation. The Bahamian people raise questions to us through a variety of ways, inclusive of questions put to us by the media, and I sought to answer those. And so, Mr. Monroe, I asked him in the House of Assembly, please produce proof of what you've said, because it's untrue. And I was not unique in that regard. There were a number of ministers who did the same. And to the extent that we didn't in any other case, that's regrettable. And of course, should not happen. All of us should do our best to answer the question. With respect to his comments about the timing of those questions.
Yes, and that you're campaigning.
They have been on the agenda for quite some time. And one of the reasons it was especially important to ask questions about BPL is because we have been asking questions about BPL from the time the government changed. We are in opposition in part because some things we did not get right. But there are a number of things that were done correctly under the Minister administration, one of which was in the area of BPL. There were some successes. One of those successes in BPL had to do with the hedge program that locked in a predictable price for fuel and therefore a predictable price for electricity, which Sayers and Mr. Davis canceled. And so, again, a series of those questions were around BPL. You would recall the government made an illegal loan to BP, and then as a result of they made that loan in order to pay down arrears on fuel that had accumulated. The government then went ahead, Dwight, to increase the cost of electricity to Bahamians under the pretense of going to pay off that illegal loan. To date, they have not. In fact, it seems that the arrears that they have appears to have increased. And so the question is a reasonable question in terms of why are you not honoring the agreements that you've put in place, agreements you've had to put in place because of the poor decisions you made when you came to office. Now, they've gone further. They're looking to, in a sense, privatize BPL without having a thorough discussion with the general public with respect to how they are going to do it. In other words, will there be competitive bidding? Will you give all Bahamians an opportunity to become shareholders in this enterprise? What will happen to the benefits of employees? Who will be responsible for it? Will it be the new entity with which the workers have no present arrangement, or will it be the government? How will several different companies taking aspects of BPL, how will they work in tandem with each other? So this is not an attempt to campaign.
Let me ask you about what Minister Monroe said, the example that he gave about the question about security arrangements. And I said, I don't know if you heard that earlier, this sounds like an answer there. Did you ever hear that much before? That this could be, this is a question for technocrats, and that they'd have to bring in some sensitive information.
No, it's absolute. Absolute nonsense. The reality is they had the questions long enough in order to provide to have received the information from their technical team, and so many of these questions. The vast majority of them are months old. So they have predetermined that they're not going to be transparent going forward. They started out answering several of the questions, and then we began to fact-check them on answers given. And I think they are now more leery of providing answers because they assume the opposition would not have been up to the task of checking the answers they gave. For example, they talked about the housing loan that was taken out by Minister Colby, their answer was she's a corporate soul. She has in her capacity as minister ability to borrow a $20 million loan in order to put in place the housing project. It turns out that she's a corporate soul without capacity to borrow under the new Debt Management Act. The Minister of Finance is authorized to obligate the government to these loan arrangements, which is precisely why we took issue with Chester Cooper taking possession of a $70 million loan when he went to the Far East. Again, not qualified unless the Prime Minister was in a different galaxy and was unavailable. He still remained the Minister of Finance. And so as we fact-check the things that they say, we are finding out that they are very dry-eyed. They may have a tone of sincerity, but the facts do not support them. And so all we are doing is discharging our jobs. They promise better governance. So if we were derelict in any of our duties during our term, the public has pronounced a verdict on us. We are in opposition. They are supposed to be an improvement on us. And this is precisely why it is our goal, the team that we have, to be an improvement not only on the PLP, but an improvement on our previous selves.
All right, we're running out of time. I have to ask you about this, though. The comment from Minister Colby Davis about not answering the question until after the convention. I don't know if we've heard from you officially on that. What was your reaction to that comment? What do you make of it?
Yeah, unfortunately, the minister, a talented young Bahamian who unfortunately has gotten that political affliction of arrogance. So her comments was really a tongue-in-cheek reference to, you're in a competition now, let's see how that one go, and then we'll talk on the other side. Except, though, the question will remain regardless of who is in the chair, as I fully expect to be in the chair, but it's irrelevant. What she needs to do is answer the Bahamian people. That's who, it's not, all of us have temporary jobs. So it is not about me. It's not about her. It's about, are you discharging your responsibility in the best interest of the people who are not in a privileged position as you are, with health insurance, while many Bahamians are unfortunately dying because they can't afford health care and they don't have access to adequate equipment and healthcare facilities because we are cash-strapped at the moment. And so that was all about just the arrogance that she continues to display. And unfortunately, the Prime Minister continues to aid and abet her rather than reprimanding her and helping her understand. You have a duty of care to explain decisions you are contemplating on behalf of the Bahamian people. For example, like what you intend to do with BPL in the short to medium term.
Right. Well, Michael Pintard, opposition leader, thank you so much for calling in. I'm sure we will talk a lot more before and after the convention.
We certainly look forward to it. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah, well, that was a surprise there. All right. Let's take some more calls. Yes, good morning. Caller, you're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Muhammad. And I am very appreciative to hear from my childhood friend and schoolmate, Mr. Michael Pintard, on the issues that are presently before the Bahamian public and in the House of Assembly. First of all, you asked if it's arrogant or excuses that's used by Ms. Colby, right?
No,
Colby Davis.
I didn't put it like that, but I just wanted him to respond.
No, I mean, what you said, I'm not trying to qualify it, but yeah, of his incompetence, right? Well, the saying is that, excuses. Excuses are the tools of the incompetent. They build monuments of nothingness, and those who specialize in them are settle them good for anything other than excuses.
Okay, those are your words.
The other thing with BPL, and they're not answering. Remember, they had from in February, before they put this public offering thing that started on March 1st until the end of March, right?
RFP.
And all the technocrats. They didn't spend all the kind of time thinking about these private companies, and now before then, they could have had these answers before they put it out there starting March 1st. And whatever companies they intended to join up with or methods they intend to do. Now they come along and they're saying that what the Attorney General Pinder is saying with this, which we all know, we the people, we the consumers, and we will have to bear the burden of it. Now he's saying a modicum of what their methods are talking about with BPL about the solar and natural energy, but because of the outcry with all of us, and I don't want them attacking the media or your talk show because they don't like that. But we got to understand we have to keep a wide scope on this, and we must not let up on them, because when you look at the out islands, all of them, they know, we're never making any profits, and they're trying to buddy it up or pretty it up and, make people think like they have given it some consideration in the past month. But from February, they should have had all these things before they came with their plans. You see what I'm saying?
Interesting. Yep. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's see if we can squeeze these calls in really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. No. Okay. Let's take the other one. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? No. Okay. Let's read these messages before we have to take a break. This texter says here, oh boy, social services in Central Andros have not paid pensions for the month of April, have not been paid their pensions for the month of April yet. Oh boy. Okay. We'll check into that. Can't this administration walk and chew gum at the same time? Monroe is talking garbage. Left out a couple of the words they put in there. This person says here, Prime Minister Davis and Minister Colby Davis not wanting to answer the questions. They're saying it's not a good sign. Okay, I'm editing some of these things. Oh, boy. I agree that text you read is very sad, but to me, this is about the flamingo, I guess. But to me, it highlights all the work that we haven't done as a country and individuals to remember and honor the sacrifice those young men made, and even others who have made similar sacrifices for the Bahamas. Okay, I agree with you. If the answers to questions in the House are so technical, then why not have an official day for tabling the questions and official day to respond? Well, they do have that. That's what it is, right? We're supposed to have this information by now. It's been months. This person says here, they're having issues with Colby Davis. She needs to get serious about her job. That's a text. This person says here, please. Okay. Well, we'll see. All right. Let's take this call here. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, I'm just confused here. Opposition leader Michael Pinder this morning asked for questions, right? Why do you have all the right to be asked?
Your phone's breaking up a bit there.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, you can hear me?
A little bit better now.
Okay. The thing about it, right, is that Michael Pinder and the F&M sat down and allowed the PLP to put things in place that they can't ask the question. They can't tell Bahamian people nothing about what's happening with their own carbon credits, right?
They allowed?
Now, the opposition said the PLP is strapped for cash, but they just inject $160-something billion that nobody knows where this money came from. Nobody is questioning where this money came from, right? So the PLP and the F&M is playing games with the Bahamian people, right? There's nobody in the PLP or the F&M is prepared to go to jail because Brave Davis then tell them is you go into prison and you can pay money if you divulge any of this information.
All right, I don't know what you're saying. I got to stop you there. I'm not sure what's happening. I don't know what you're talking about there. But okay. But yeah, I don't know what that was. Hey, let's go to the break and we'll go to the news. And when we come back, we've got more of your messages and we'll get to what else Monroe was saying in the press conference yesterday about some claims are made in the House about judges. And why he thinks that's a problem. All right, we're going to get back to that in just a bit. This is Morning Blend on a Friday morning here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
I'm Charles de Ledesma, and these are the AP International headlines. The UN says about 110,000 people have fled Rafah in southern Gaza, and food and fuel supplies in the area are critically low. As well, all crossings into the south of the enclave remain closed, cutting off supplies and preventing medical evacuations and the movement of relief staff. China's actively seeking foreign investment to boost its slowing growth, but, says Jens Eskelund, president of the European Chamber, sluggishness is weighing on company plans to grow their businesses.
We've had 68% of our members telling us that macroeconomic factors has had a negative impact on their ability to make money on the Chinese market.
Pope Francis has pressed his campaign to urge Italians to have more children, calling for long-term policies to help families and warning the country's demographic crisis is threatening the future. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Let's get your first look at traffic in, brought to you by RBC. Get a no-fee auto loan with up to 100% financing from RBC. And any real-time traffic, as usual, the hot spots, Mile Butler Highway, heavy traffic for you just north of Fire Trail. And the roundabout there all the way up to Tonic Williams-Darling Highway, back up a bit along Tonic Williams-Darling Highway, westbound especially, and even southbound on Mile Butler Highway approaching that roundabout. So a bit of congestion in that area. Gladstone Road is busy as well, but not as bad as we've seen, we normally see at this hour. And that's going to be as you approach the roundabout with John F. Kennedy Drive and just north of Fire Trail as well. Then we've got Blue Hill Road busy for you near the Soldier Road Junction and as you head northbound towards the Independence Drive roundabout. And then pockets along Prince Charles Drive, the major intersections, and especially along Robinson Road near Old Trail. That's what we're looking at this morning. That's your first look at traffic this morning, brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/carloan/all of you for more information. We're back after the news. Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. And now at 8:26, it's time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Here's what's happening. We've got an Atlantic deep layered ridge that's drifting eastwards across the Bahamas while supporting a stable dry air mass and a gentle to moderate breeze. There is a slight risk of rip currents, though, along Atlantic exposed beaches. And the UV index will be very high during afternoon hours, so be careful when you're outside today. And due to the very dry, very arid conditions throughout the country, bushfires are quite possible all over. So, for today, for the Northwest Bahamas, actually for all areas, the Northwest, Central, and Southeast Bahamas, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny and hot conditions today with a passing shower over open waters. Temperatures getting up into the upper 80s, around 86 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius, but it will feel a whole lot hotter than that. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 73 Fahrenheit, 23 Celsius. In your extended outlook, that high pressure is going to continue heading towards the east ahead of a cold front that's going to enter the extreme northwest Bahamas by Saturday. The front will become stationary across the northwest Bahamas before drifting into the central Bahamas on Sunday. Tranquil, dry conditions, along with a gentle breeze and calm seas, will be the conditions we'll see throughout the weekend. So for Saturday, tomorrow, cloudy and hot with isolated showers along the front in the extreme northwestern islands, sunny and hot over the rest of the country. Sunday, partly sunny and warm in the northwest Bahamas, sunny and hot in the central and southeast Bahamas. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Sherwin-Williams Paints has got you covered for all of your painting and equipment needs. Visit Sherwin-Williams Paints online or in-store today. And at 8:29, time for another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. Get a no-fee auto loan with up to 100% financing. In your real-time traffic, we've got a number of hot spots to tell you about. We've got Prince Charles Drive near the major intersections. You're going to be seeing traffic, especially Beatrice Avenue as you get closer there. And, of course, Robinson Road, Soldier Road, that whole intersection looking congested for you, especially if you're heading westbound into Robinson Road, through Old Trail, on the way to the intersection with Marathon and East-West Highway. And if you're heading northbound on Soldier from that intersection straight through to Village, Wolf, and Bernard Road, heavy traffic for you there. Parkgate also looking busy as you exit from Village Road. Well, that might be entering Village Road eastbound at this hour, but it looks like it could be both directions, actually. That's busy for you right now. Marathon Road northbound, also busy for you at this hour. Then we've got Blue Hill Road near Carmichael Road and north of Soldier Road on the way to the intersection with Independence Drive, or the roundabout with Independence Drive, heavy traffic there. And further north on Blue Hill as you approach Cordo Avenue near Big Pond. And as usual, Mile Butler Highway, but not what we normally see on Mile Butler Highway, just north of the Fire Trail roundabout, along Harold Road to the roundabout with Tawny Williams Darling Highway. And Tawny Williams Darling Highway backed up a bit as well. Gladstone Road, also seeing some slow-moving traffic northbound this morning to the roundabout with Bahamar Boulevard and JFK Drive. Those are your hotspots. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert, brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean or /car loan/all of you. rbc.com/car loan/all of you for more information.
We are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
RBC. Are you buying a home, renovating, or exploring mortgage options? With cash back and up to 90% financing, we'll find the perfect mortgage for you. Pre-qualify in just 60 seconds and get connected with a mortgage specialist today. Visit rbc.com/mortgages/all of you. RBC. Conditions apply.
In 2023, over 9 million visitors came to the Bahamas. This year, we plan on shattering that record. That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Paradise is not only found in Nassau, but throughout our 16-island destination.
No matter who you are or what you do, we all have a part to play in our tourism industry.
This is our country.
These are our islands.
This is our home.
That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit cfal.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
This is the National Youth Guard program designed to train young people to help the Bahama Islands in times of disaster.
I decided to join to better serve my country as well as to better myself.
We train to help in search and rescue,
electrical, plumbing, and carpentry.
And things that they can actually expand on in their careers.
Young people who join the Youth Guard program discover a sense of purpose and a sense of patriotism.
To learn more and apply, visit nyg.bahamas.gov.bs.
Maybe it's time to explore your options. There's no harm in reviewing your mortgage arrangement and considering a better deal. CIBC Caribbean can help you narrow your search and decide. Switch your mortgage to CIBC Caribbean and enjoy a special interest rate and help towards your switching cost. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/inspired home for more information. Conditions apply.
John Bull presents its annual Mother's Day Garden Party. Shop new spring collection for her. Redefine your style. Find inspiration as you browse this season's standout. Be entertained. Special live art and music feature with Preston Hanna and DJ Super Mario. There will be photo keepsakes, gift personalization, perfume engraving, and henna. There's a spring style showcase. Dress in your season's best. Sign up for their spring fashion walk in store for a chance to win a $500 gift card. Scope of the latest scents, skincare, and makeup trends. There will be in-store raffles, gifts with purchase, and gourmet bites and beverages. Indulge in sweet delights. That's Saturday, May 11th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at John Bull 284 Bay Street. That's John Bull's annual Mother's Day Garden Party, hosted by the Natural Empress.
Maybe it's time to explore your options. There's no harm in reviewing your mortgage arrangement and considering a better deal. CIBC Caribbean can help you narrow your search and decide. Switch your mortgage to CIBC Caribbean and enjoy a special interest rate and help towards your switching cost. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/inspired home for more information. Conditions apply.
You've seen electric cars on the road, but isn't it time you drive one? Easy Car Sales invites you to experience the smooth, powerful ride and immerse yourself in the luxury and latest tech features. Find out why the Bahamas is going electric. Visit easy242.com and book your test drive now. What are you waiting for? Save money, drive smarter. There's an EV waiting for you at Easy Car Sales.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Atlantic Agents and Brokers. Good like that.
Mothers are the heart of our homes, the soul of our memories, and the guiding light through life's journeys. Show your love with a gift from Kelly's House and Home's Mother's Day sale, Friday, May 3rd through Saturday, May 11th. Enjoy 20% off selected dinnerware, glassware, luggage, silk flowers, and picture frames, except on net items. One lucky person can win a gift basket for Mother's Day. Visit our Facebook page for more information. Kelly's House and Home's Mother's Day sale, May 3rd through 11th. Happy Mother's Day, all with love from Kelly's House and Home.
Here in the Bahamas, we love our food. From savory comforters to refreshing coconut water, our cuisine reflects our vibrant culture and abundant natural resources. But as our population grows and global challenges like climate change loom, ensuring food security is more critical than ever. We at the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources want you to play your part by supporting local farmers and fishers. Together, we can reduce our carbon footprint and promote economic resilience within our communities. Let's honor our traditions, protect our environment, and ensure that the flavors of our Bahamas endure for future generations.
Bahamas, let's work together to lower our food import bill. Food security is in our hands.
Food security is in our hands.
Are you seeking exceptional health care beyond the traditional hospital setting? Introducing Doctors Hospital Clinics, your trusted destination for comprehensive care. Our full-service locations provide affordable services through our Loyalty Advantage membership program and NHI. Experience seamless care with our integrated health system, where your medical history travels with you, ensuring continuity of care. Book an appointment today at clinics.doctorshosp.com. We make primary care easy.
Here's a sure-winning art store moment from Shelley and Dee Dee.
We're the only full art store in the Bahamas. If we don't have it, we make a list, and trust me, our boss can get that. If you need that, he can get that. You can find sketchbooks, acrylics, the canvases in all sizes, stencils. We have the Angelus that they use on shoes and letters. We're the only persons in Nassau that carries the Montana spray. We have the Krylon sprays, watercolor and paints, the oil, chalk paints, the alcohol paint, metallic paints, the little Floetrol, and we have cleaning products for the artists, thinning products for the artists, and Crayola colors, and glitters, pencils, the Posca markers, and pastels, oil, and the acrylic pastels, dyes. Oh yeah, we also have airbrush paint. I don't forget that part of the movie. Gift sets, hobby craft,
Boiled shrimp, stew shrimp, shrimp gumbo. But art supplies. We have a lot of them. Sherwin-Williams Art Store. Find colour in every day.
RBC is a bit for all of you. Life is full of twists, turns, and defining moments that create your own unique story. However your story unfolds, we're here to help guide you through it. From every big decision to every new adventure, RBC is a bit for all of you. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you.
Are you ready for the best of the best? Keep the Vibe Alive Music Group, Alpha Sound Promotion, and Guardian Radio presents the best of the best Rake and Script Explosion Concert. Mark your calendars for May 11th as Super Club Breezes grounds ignite with Bahamian talent featuring KB, Gino D, Funky D, Veronica Bishop, The Brylanders, Avi, Elon Moxie, and Shine 242. Join the Falcons, Iron Store, Sylvie Pierre, Johnny Cake, Mama D, Nishi LS, Pat Ramis, Stevie S, and Shad Colley and the VIPs for an electrifying night of music and culture. Tickets are flying, so grab yours now. Available online at BahamasEtickets.com or swing by the Beauty Shack on Soldier Road and Carmichael Road. This is the event of the year. The best of the best Rake and Scrape Explosion at Breezes Resorts. Gates open at 6 p.m. Don't miss out on the Bahamian magic.
You've heard of electric cars. Now it's time you drive one. Easy Car Sales welcomes you to experience the power and prestige of the latest electric vehicles. Plug in at home for a 65% discount off your gas bill and never get stuck at the pump again. Build your dreams of a better future with a better car, the BYD EV. Visit easy242.com to book your free test drive today. Save your money while driving in style, only at Easy Car Sales.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
In 2023, over 9 million visitors came to the Bahamas. This year, we plan on shattering that record. That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Paradise is not only found in Nassau, but throughout our 16-island destination.
No matter who you are or what you do, we all have a part to play in our tourism industry.
This is our country.
These are our islands.
This is our home.
That's why tourism is everyone's business.
At Simplified Lending, we've unscrambled the loan process, making it fast and hassle-free. Personal, business, medical. You apply, we'll reply in as little as 24 hours. Call us today at 603-1730 or stop by Simplified Lending in the R&D Plaza on JFK Drive. Simplified Lending for simplified living.
Simplified Lending for simplified living. Simplified Lending for simplified living.
John Bull presents its annual Mother's Day Garden Party. Shop new spring collection for her. Redefine your style. Find inspiration as you browse this season's standout. Be entertained. Special live art and music feature with Preston Hanna and DJ Super Mario. There will be photo keepsakes, gift personalization, perfume, and there's a spring style showcase. Dress in your season's best. Sign up for their spring fashion walk in store for a chance to win a $500 gift card. Scope of the latest scents, skincare, and makeup trends. There will be in-store raffles, gifts with purchase, and gourmet bites and beverages. Indulge in sweet delights. That's Saturday, May 11th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at John Bull, 284 Bay Street. That's John Bull's annual Mother's Day Garden Party, hosted by the Natural Empress.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with you on this Friday morning. All right, so we're getting your reaction to the call from F&M leader Michael Pintard responding to Wayne Monroe and what he said at the press conference yesterday, the Office of the Prime Minister press conference, about Pintard using question time to campaign, even though these questions have been before the House, some going back to last year, October even. So that, we'll get to Monroe and the judges in a bit. So we want to get to some of your text messages, though, and you can call in 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. And call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Okay, so this texter says, Dwight, you kill me. Every text is bleep, bleep. And, okay, well, yeah, that's the type of stuff that we get. And the opposition is blah, 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 because for 50 years they have never done anything differently than the PLP. The ping pong game they have played with the Bahamian people is over. These dinosaurs need to go to rest, especially if they cannot be transparent or answer any questions. Okay. This person says that response from Monroe is pure BS. BS, hey? Okay. This person says here, Monroe's comments were extremely insulting to two groups of people. One, A, the Bahamian people. They would take months for him to report on how we are defending our waters. This question was posed in February. And B, government technocrats, because his statement makes it seem like they can't do their job in an efficient and effective manner. Does it? Okay. Well, I don't know. Anyway. And this person says here, first-time MPs like Monroe and Colby Davis should take note of the behaviors of those who have been elected 2 or 3 times. This is the same administration trying to shake down the GBPA that can't answer questions that are important to the GBPA. They ain't serious, the hypocrisy. Wow. All right, continue to send your messages, continue to call in. All right, let's move on to this other story. This is from the press conference, the same press conference. So Wayne Monroe on a roll yesterday. Rachel Scott again writing about it. As Minister of National Security, Wayne Monroe discussed the trial by judge alone bill 2024 passed in the House Assembly on Wednesday. He said yesterday that suggestions by members of the opposition that judge bias is a potential issue are disrespectful and inappropriate. He said, quote, a lot of what fell from the other side is disrespectful and inappropriate to be said in Parliament. To talk about bias is to suggest that a judge will not be true to his judicial oath. Judges swear to do right by all men without fear or favor. Judges, if they have an issue of bias that they know, move immediately. You would see the exercise in the Kirk Cornish case, the North Abaco MP, where judges ask those questions of jurors, and depending on what your rules say, then they excuse them. In that case, where the juror did not disclose a close relationship to the leader of the opposition at a case that involved a sitting PLP MP, who the women's branch of the F&M had gone on record as making a statement, the judge found that in those circumstances there was a risk or perception of bias, and she discharged the jury. That is the exercise that judges go through when cases come before them. Well, the trial by judge alone bill would give an accused person the option to select whether their trial is heard by a judge or a jury in the Supreme Court. Monroe was asked about comments by Long Island MP Adrian Gibson, who during debate expressed concerns about potential bias of judges. Now, in the House, Gibson said, quote, "My reservation as it relates to trials by a single judge in the Supreme Court has to do with the risk of bias. The reality is, despite efforts to remain impartial, judges may bring their own biases, experiences, and perspectives into the decision-making process." Gibson, the former executive chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation, is on trial in the Supreme Court, accused of bribery, money laundering, receiving, and failing to declare an interest in WSC contracts. Monroe said this might be impacting Gibson's perspective on the matter. Oh, dear. Okay. Monroe said, quote, "I can understand Mr. Gibson's perspective, being a defendant before the court. But as a lawyer, he should know he ought not to be suggesting that judges don't live up to their judicial oath. It is disrespectful. It's not appropriate. And he really owes the entire judiciary, the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, and Privy Council apologies." Now, Gibson had said he would be more comfortable with a panel of judges. But Monroe said, quote, "As to whether you should have more than one judge sitting, very few places have that trial by judge alone. Judges sit in panels." Monroe noted that Supreme Court judges are required to have 10 years of practice and face a strict selection process. He also said that judges are provided with many resources to make the right decisions in accordance with the law. He says, quote, "You then use your ability to say these are the directions of law, and then if you are the judge alone, you would then have to say how you treat with the evidence of witnesses." And I guess treat is a legal term? Okay. Interesting. Let's get your comments, your responses to that. Many of you were saying the same thing yesterday, but as Monroe was saying, in Parliament it's not appropriate to say it. But many were thinking that too. We're human beings, right? So sometimes that's very hard, even though you take oaths, to completely remove yourself from that type of thinking. But let's hear from you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, good morning, Dwight.
Good morning.
I don't know what Mr. Monroe's contribution will be to the movement of the needle in trying to reduce the level of crime in the Bahamas. But Mr. Monroe don't seem to have any plans at all. He has no plans. He should have had his plans in place. He's making all these excuses that these things requires all kind of thing. What is your plans, Mr. Monroe? What are your? You should have had your plans from the time you came in. If you knew what even if you didn't know where you were going, I mean, you were there long enough to formulate some type of initiative or some type of plan.
In terms of what? What do you mean? In terms
in regards to when I think the opposition asked him what are the plans for national security, and he's saying
it wasn't
water control and whatnot.
No, it wasn't plans. It was specific details about
details or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could have had some kind of details. It doesn't require no technical cracks and all of this thing to say, well, okay, we will be employing drones or whatever. You must have something, Dwight. You should have some kind of skeleton that you could put the meat on. And another thing, Dwight, he talked about the anti-gang thing, and this is why the PLP government updated the anti-gang law. Anybody was arrested yet?
Not that I know of.
Well, so why not? Don't they know who are in gangs?
You have to prove that they were involved in
the
activities.
He said that these gangs and whatnot. So
give it some time.
Skippin said that this person was in the gang and whatnot, and the police knows who these gang members are.
Alleged
so why don't they go and arrest them?
You got to prove it's a long list of criteria.
They were in a gang, but you can prove that they have they've been caught with a firearm or what ammunition and put the penalty on that. But I just tired. And then he
Were you expecting that, like, within a week of it passing, there'd be, like, a whole bunch of people taking off the streets? That's what you were expecting?
No, I expect that if the law, once the law is passed, once the law is passed and the law becomes into effect, that it will be implemented. Isn't that the purpose of the law? Once it's passed in the House and it's gazetted and whatnot, it becomes law, and I expect the law to take place immediately. Mr. Monroe said that this time of the year is budget time. Dwight, let me tell you something. The budget is finished by March, okay? I know persons who work in the finance department, and all March they're working on the budget. So that's a bunch of baloney. And keep on blaming what the F&M did when they were in government. We are tired of that, man. This is supposed to be, what was their slogan when they came in? It's a what?
A new day, I believe.
But it's the same blankety blank. Ain't nothing changed because the F&M did it. You gonna do the same thing. You were supposed to be different. You were supposed to show up the F&M so that you can say, man, it's a new day now. See us here.
They say they are better. They are better. They answered more questions than the F&M ever did.
Yeah, but that don't. But they are still circumventing the system. They're still putting up roadblocks. They're still taking an inordinate amount of time. The Attorney General told the people that you don't have to answer to the PAC. They don't have that authority in all kind of food. Why? Because you're trying to hide something? I thought you would have just throw the book open and say, man, listen here, we ain't got nothing to hide. We ain't like you all other guys. Run, come see, man. You want to see this? See it's right here. But no, they try to put up roadblocks, and Wayne Monroe with his spin doctor tactics trying to find excuses for everything in the book.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Lots of passion there. Wow. Let's go to this call. Okay. Good morning. You're on the air. Are you there? Got scared away. Okay. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free 242-300-5720. Let's take another call. Good morning. You're on the air.
My brother Dwight, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to make my commentary very short this morning. Listen, the previous caller was spot on. I look at the commentary of Wayne Monroe as a major distraction. They knew this question and answer period was coming on, and these MPs, the inclusive of the leadership, should have been prepared to answer the questions that the opposition put forward to them. The thing is that, we have to always remember the questions that the opposition put forward towards the government is not just the questions of the opposition. These are questions of the Bahamian people who are asking these questions, and it's just so that members of the opposition are bringing these questions forward because we, the people, cannot individually go into the parliament and ask these questions. This song and dance, like I said, the previous caller was spot on. Spot on. You say it's a new day. So if it's a new day, and you blame the F&M administration, which was the previous government, for things not fulfilling the obligations of the Bahamian people, not being transparent and accountable to the Bahamian people, then come forward and show that you're better. Come forward and show that you're transparent. Show that you're better. My last point here, the previous text mentioned that you got to get rid of all of these old dinosaurs. But right now, as it stands, I am quite appalled at the commentary of and sadly I have to call the name, Jobette Colby Davis, when she indicated that in order for her to answer the question, she has to wait for the next F&M. It's ludicrous. What does one have to do with the other? You are a paid MP to consult and inform the Bahamian public. What does that have to do with anything? Be transparent. That is the key word in the last election. Be transparent, be accountable to the Bahamian people. That's it, and that's all. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Let's take another call. Good morning. You're on the air. Yeah, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
Yeah, I was really taken aback. I just want to give the Minister Colby some advice, man. We have elected you to represent us in the House of Assembly. And if there's any questions put to you, you must answer. You know, and that's the bottom line. You just cannot brush off any question. You can't be concerned about your opposition. We're here to listen to what you have to say because we want to hear the answers. And so what it does is it deteriorates. It really puts a bad spoke in her wheel as a minister. You know, you have to go there represent us, the Bayman people. You know, it ain't about you and the opposition. It's about us, the Bayman people, who would have put you in the House of Assembly to represent us. And they don't realize it's going to hurt her stocks. It's really it doesn't look good, and she needs to either take advice. If she ain't taking her advice, then she's not going to make it. Simple as that. We put you in the House of Assembly there to represent us. Okay? That's all I have to say this morning.
Okay. Thank you very much. And we got some more calls really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Dwight. How you doing? My first question is, where's Hubert Alexander Minnis? They seem to want to beat him with his stick, beat the FNM with his stick of ineptitude, incompetence, and incapability. He should be defending himself. But let's talk about Mr. Wayne Monroe. Mr. Wayne Monroe, I enjoy listening to Mr. Wayne Monroe because I observe his linguistic contortionism when he was not in the House, and this seems to give him a greater platform to show us his ability to contort the English language and somewhat seek to gaslight us. But Dwight, if you look at what happens, right, the Prime Minister has better chance of just passing some laws making, say, the Rolls-Royce La Rose Nonore drop tail duty-free. Because what they say has no effect. Let's use the gang thing. You met with all the gang members. You have a list of them to declare them a gang. That's the only way you can declare them a gang. Okay, good. If you know who they are, you've met with them, then yes, I would say I expect them to be arrested. Other than that, the allegations you made in the past will pan not to be true. So now you talk about accountability, transparency, and all of these different things. But imagine it, Dwight, that we spend $30 million a month for the civil service, and there's only 3 people in each department, and all of them, including the janitor, is working on the budget over the last 6 months. And so it's insulting to us to believe that whoever it is that's working on the budget, that the entire government of the Bahamas pauses while we try to get a budget decree coming up. It's like almost insulting to us as right-thinking Bahamian and critical thinkers whenever this government somehow seems to try to twist our reality. All we want, Dwight, is governance. What we want is Bahamians to feel the impact of governance upon us. And in ending, Mr. Hubert Alexander Minnis, it's a good time to defend your record as opposed to depending on other people. Leadership is not only about building forward, it's also about defending the past. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks a lot. Let's take this call here. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Okay. Nope. Okay. Let's read these messages as we go to the break. This person says here, judges are people. Just like people, they have opinions, and they can have biases. You would hope that those biases do not supersede their duty to their oath. To make a statement that no judge could ever be biased is to make yourself a fool. And we don't want to be fools. Not today. Not today, not ever. All right, okay. So judges are gods then? Monroe needs to dig a hole. Oh, boy. These are ridiculous comments. Nothing and no one and no position is above criticism, public or not. Well, around here, you have too much to say. They certainly don't make your life easy. This person says here, Dwight, in the Bahamas, we have 4 levels of court. The first court being the magistrate court, trial by magistrate. The second court would be the Supreme Court, trial by judge and jury. The third being the Court of Appeal, that's tried by 3 judges. And the fourth, the Privy Council, which is, again, by 3 judges. Okay, well, thank you for the... I think most of us knew that. Thank you for the lesson that plenty knew about. We appreciate it, though. This one says here, if Bahamians want better, vote COI. This is an ad. Anyway, if you want change, and if they fail, then vote them out. At least you tried, but doing the same thing over and over is the definition of insanity. A couple other definitions of insanity, too, though. I'm listening, bro, as I usually do. I concur with the sentiments expressed by your callers. People are watching and listening. We're not fools and should not be taken for granted. And they said it. It's a new day. Mm-hmm. And one more. We'll take that call before we go to the news and the break. Good morning. You're on the air. Are you there? Hello? No? Okay. Let's go to the break and go to the news. We'll be back with a whole lot more in Morning Blend Business. Don't go away. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Living with a neurological condition shouldn't define you. At Cleveland Clinic in Florida, we do whatever it takes to make life better today while discovering new treatments for a brighter tomorrow. From epilepsy management to specialized spine care and brain tumor surgery, we're delivering world-class neurology care for the day-to-day, for the days you live for every care in the world. Visit clevelandclinicflorida.org/Caribbean.
In the world of business, technology is not a choice. It's a necessity. And for businesses that demand excellence, there's only one choice for unparalleled support and cutting-edge technology. Custom Computers. You have challenges and we have solutions. Computing, networking, storage, and printing for enterprises large and small, aligned with premium brands like HP, Microsoft, Konica Minolta, and more. Get tech done the right way with Custom Computers. Call the know-how team at 396-1101.
Mothers are the heart of our homes, the soul of our memories, and the guiding light through life's journeys. Show your love with a gift from Kelly's House and Home's Mother's Day sale, Friday, May 3rd through Saturday, May 11th. Enjoy 20% off selected dinnerware, glassware, luggage, silk flowers, and picture frames, except on net items. One lucky person can win a gift basket for Mother's Day. Visit our Facebook page for more information. Kelly's House and Home's Mother's Day sale, May 3rd through 11th. Happy Mother's Day, all with love from Kelly's House and Home.
Are you a business owner or HR professional? RF's team of pension specialists are here to empower your employees with market-leading retirement solutions and to make implementing group pensions easy and cost-effective. With RF, starting or switching your company pension plan is a breeze, and there are no setup fees. If you're looking for strong investment performance and low fees, visit rfgroup.com/empower and empower your team to retire comfortably with RF Group pensions today. That's rfgroup.com/empower.
Here in the Bahamas, we love our food. From savory comforters to refreshing coconut water, our cuisine reflects our vibrant culture and abundant natural resources. But as our population grows, ensuring food sustainability is more critical than ever. By supporting local farmers and fishers, let's honor our traditions, protect our environment, and ensure that the flavors of our Bahamas endure for future generations.
Food security is in our hands.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Friday, May 10th, 2024. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan, and this morning we are talking about a new program that's going to transform things at the Department of Public Health. It's electronic health records, and it's called the IS4H. Dr. Philip Swan is the acting director of the Department of Public Health. He's going to explain it all to us. Very pleased to have you here with us, Dr. Swan. Great to see you. Let's get your mic up there a little bit. There we go.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. Good morning to you as well. All right. So before we get into how this is going to work, paint a picture for us right now. Give us the lay of the land. What are we seeing as we move to implement this? What do you experience right now in terms of this type of information?
So right now, our records, medical records, are paper-based.
Mm-hmm.
Paper-based on the one hand, and the other hand, it's not a uniform numbering system across the clinics. So if you go to one clinic, you have one medical record. go to another clinic, you have another medical record. Wow. Way back in about, I think it was 20 or 30 years ago, we started the digitization process with something called Integrated Public Health Information System, IFIS. And that was trying to identify a unique identifier across the systems. But at that time, our resources were not necessarily where they needed to be. Staff did not necessarily understand computers that well. Wow. And so the approach was to have data recorded on paper and then post-entered into the system. Mm-hmm. Of course, that's a recipe for failure, and that never happened the way it should have happened.
Oh, boy.
And so, we've been trying different activities during the last, 10 to 15 years. We've piggybacked on the work of Public Hospitals Authority and the work they would have done in trying to bring our medical record on board. And that got stalled as well. And so we're at the stage now where a more comprehensive approach is being taken. Mm-hmm. So the component of the work in the Ministry of Health or Department of Public Health with the electronic health record is a subset of a whole national component called Information Systems for Health. This is an initiative led by the Pan American Health Organization. And with our partners, along with the IDB, we have been working for the last 3 years, just putting in the baseline work. And that means that how do we talk about data security? How do we talk about uniformity of systems across the health sector? Mm-hmm. And we've had in our groupings persons from across the information sector as well as the health sector to ensure that we are abiding by the norms and we are understanding what it is that we need to do. Mm-hmm. Several years ago, we would have had a team in from Healthcare Israel to do an assessment of what it would take for us to have an integrated health information exchange, which is information sharing across different sectors, whether it be primary care to primary to secondary to tertiary level care, or private and public sector, as well as health and non-health delivery services. So that framework is there, and that's something that we're going to work towards, and we're working towards that framework. How do we do that? But that's going to take, again, norms, policies, laws in some cases, wide stakeholder consultations.
Oh, wow. So we're not there yet.
No, we're not there yet.
Okay.
But where we are now is we're trying to make sure at least the public health systems speak to each other. So what happens in PHA is available in public health, community clinics, and so that by the end of this summer, we hope to have some sort of seamless system so that if you see a physician or nurse in one of the family islands, you come to New Providence or any other family island, your information is there available for the record to be seen. And if, unfortunately, you end up going to a hospital, PMH also has access to the information. So it reduces the cost in terms of duplication of studies, labs and imaging studies, as well as ECGs.
All right. So I want to get back to that in a bit. But what are we talking about here? You talk about decades. So this is, what are the volumes looking like in terms of the paperwork?
So we would have done an assessment of the volumes for our polyclinics. Because part of this process, when you talk about digitizing, is not only moving ahead, but in electronic medical record today, going forward, you need to try to find a way to access your paper records that would have been in existence for last 50 years. We only required to keep them for 7 years, but we keep them until we have no more space.
You're only required to keep them for 7 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 7, 10 years. I think it's 7, but you could keep them for 10.
Wow.
The reality is, again, assessment of our polyclinics, South Beach Health Center, the Flamingo Gardens Clinic, Elizabeth Estates Clinic, and the Fleming Street Clinic. We had about 4 million pages of records that needed to be scanned. 4 million pages. Yes.
Wow.
So we are working with the government, because we are the government working with ourselves, but the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Economics as well, to try to figure out how they can support us with that digitization process.
That's already underway, or you still have more of that?
That hasn't started yet.
Oh, dear.
But it is something that the negotiations to get that work started is underway.
Okay.
What we want to do in the interim is to try to target our smaller clinics that have less records, like 1,000 here or 1,000 patients, etc., and try to get those scanned into whatever database we're going to be tapping into with an electronic health record.
Right. All right, so you're saying, you explained it, this will make life so much simpler in the public sector, but the goal is also to incorporate the private sector with all of this?
So the reality of the day, the reality of time, the reality of it all is that you are the owner of your medical record. And so you should have access to your medical record at any point in time. You want to have access to it, as well as be able to grant access to your record to whoever you want to grant it to. So that's where the laws and the policies and the discussions have to come into place, because there's a lot of education that goes along with that. Persons will be trained or advised that their medical records actually have value, talking about dollar value, because persons who are around the world doing data mining, or doing research in medicines and other technologies, they'll actually pay you for your medical data.
Right.
But we want to ensure that the patient understands that that's their information and their responsibility. There's a stewardship associated with that, and that's where the process is. So the other part of the conversation is after the public sector is quote unquote sharing information. How do we have discussions with the private sector to ensure that they are also part of this process?
Wow. All right. So, is there a timeline for all of this? So, when the public sector will be done and when the private sector will be onboarded? What
We
are
expect
we really looking at?
the primary care system in the public sector to be finished in a year's time. We hope the majority of it is done by the end of the summer, as I mentioned, but probably into early fall, just to make sure that we have. And I say the majority because most of our clients are staying in New Providence. We have a network of about 70 to 80 clinics across the Family Islands. So you can imagine it's going to take us a while to get to those physically to implement and make sure that persons are comfortable with the uses of medical records or even digital systems.
Right.
Because medical records is just one part of the digitization process.
All right. So, with the private sector, and you mentioned the laws, how convoluted will this get? And what are some of the things that we're seeing in other jurisdictions to protect?
Other jurisdictions don't necessarily have the challenges that we have because we have a private sector and a public sector. Most health systems are run by the public sector in most jurisdictions. So it's just, you're going to be a part of our system or not.
Oh, wow.
So we have to negotiate this. And the issues that come to the fore are those of security. The cybersecurity concerns. We need to ensure that patients' records are safe. They're shared in an encrypted manner, back and forth. And again, it's a process in the making. We haven't even started that concept yet. We're still looking at in the process of engaging an attorney to guide us through that process and to lead those discussions and to tap into what's happening in the region that may have these public-private partnerships and have these national data policy sharing laws. Of course, in a concurrence or in accordance alignment with the Data Protection Commission.
So a lot of the private sector clinics might have to completely change their systems.
No. The issue of, and this is one of the things that we're looking at doing or introducing to the table. The Bahamian private sector, health sector is advanced. It's not someone that, they don't quote unquote mess around.
Right.
So their technology is one where they can share data with each other as well as other things. So it's just, I'm not sure it's still in vogue now, but there was a criteria standard from international standard for sharing or for systems, information systems. It's called HL7 compatible. And what that means is that one system has the ability to speak to the other. And most, if not all, of the systems that are in the country now speak to each other. Have the ability to speak to each other, but are HL7 compatible or compliant. So once we now get past the stage of, let's see what's happening in the public health sector, and then now have the conversations that going between sectors.
Okay.
So right now, the system that we're looking at bringing in the main, because it's not going to be one system, but in the main is the system that is used by the NHI. And so that already has about 150, 170,000 people on it.
Right.
Some of them are our patients, quote unquote. But we're going to see how, start that process of sharing information across.
So there's a public sector that needs to get up to speed.
Yes, the public sector needs to get up to speed because
All
the larger private sector entities have been doing medical records now for 10, 15, 20 years.
Okay. All right, so exciting things are already happening.
Yes.
And we have a name for this process here, IS4H. Let's talk more about that and what's going on right now.
So IS4H, as I mentioned, is the whole national component. What we are talking today about will be the digitization of the Department of Public Health. I wear two hats. I'm the national IS4H focal point assigned under the Office of the Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health, but also as the Acting Director of Public Health. My job is to try to get the Department of Public Health to a state where we have information, the information that is generated is available for decision-making purposes. As you mentioned, I mentioned 4 million records, but we see about 100 to 200,000 visits per year in our clinics.
Wow.
And so the necessity of having access to that information for planning purposes as well as for patient quality experiences is important. So the first thing would be, of course, the digitization of medical records. Scanning in one part. The second was the introduction of an electronic medical record, electronic health record, we like to say, electronic medical record covers the encounter. The health record covers other aspects of your care, so the lab, the imaging services. And then there are two other standalone, I guess you can say, systems that we have in place now. One that is electronic immunization registry, as well as the electronic perinatal information system. So that's for pregnant women into the first year or first month of the child's life. And those are systems that we are actively working on. So SIP Plus is called. It's another PAHO software package. We have a plan to roll that out within the next 6 to 8 weeks.
So if I wanted to find out my immunization records right now, what?
Well, not you. We kind of long in the tooth. We haven't done your records yet. For your
I
child.
had a feeling you were going to say that.
Anyone under 5, or I think we'd have to probably age 7 now, their records are in the system.
Okay. Right.
We're trying to backlog the others as time goes on, so that you not only can find out where your records are, if you were seen in the public sector on the one, and 2, if your private sector pediatrician lodged your records with the ministry, then we would have that information. But now, going forward, there is one national software digital system that we're using to capture that information.
Okay.
And that helps us to do with coverage rates. People talk about, our coverage rates are low, our susceptibility for outbreaks, and then we use that information to try to close some of the gaps. So that's it, again, for the immunization records, that's what that is for. The perinatal information system, again, is pregnant women. And again, the challenge is how do we ensure that a woman who has seen a private care provider or even a public care provider and shows up to the hospital without their card, how is that information available so that we can give her the correct management during her delivery process?
Right. Wow. Okay. So there's training going on.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What's happening with that exactly?
So training is as I mentioned, systems multifunctional. The EIRS is kind of more or less stabilized. That would have been rolled out. That's the electronic immunization registry system. Training would have happened in the last, say, 6 to 9 months, stopping at about 6 to 5 months ago, because it's a set number of persons that enter or deal with immunizations. We would have trained the majority of the persons in public sector in SIP Plus last year. So we're doing refresher training for them now that we have the equipment and the technology in place, so we can roll that out more quickly. And as it relates to eClinical Works, that is the electronic medical record that we're using. We have trained already about 34 nurses in the use of the system in the public care system, and actually it has been now in use in the 44 public schools in New Providence and public schools and services in New Providence. Our nursing staff that support them in the health clinics are using that system to manage the students there. Right. And what that is doing for us is allowing us to see how it's working in the system, iron out all the kinks in the public sector, and then giving us the confidence that it's something that, is not as difficult to implement as we may have thought. So the second part of it, though, is the national electronic medical records. That's I would say a small part, a major part, but a small part, or only one part of the digitization process.
So if I were in a public school on a family island and I moved to New Providence, would you be able to?
Family Island yet? It's just
New Providence. Just New Providence.
Just New Providence. Just New Providence. And it's only been a month. So it's started in the 2nd of April. The person that is the front line in our clinics would be the medical record staff, that front office staff. And so what we have done is we have targeted them, and over the last 6 weeks, in fact, we finished training them, about 50 of them in total in New Providence, and each of them would have been taken through a course of Introduction to Computers. So a 3-part session, about 12 hours in total, where we would have walked them through, just basically to be familiarized with computers, how to use computers, how to send emails, how to generate documents, how to use Excel spreadsheets. And that's important because the next step for them would be not just the eClinical Works component, but also making appointments to improve the experience of our patients coming to the clinic. And the second part of that, of course, is the point of sale system. So collection of fees, and although they're small, the collection of them is important. And you want to make sure that fees that are collected are going where it's supposed to go. And through the digital process, we ensure that you will know as a patient what your fees are, and you'll be secure that what you've paid goes into the treasury. And that's important for the cost of providing services going forward, as well as to help us determine what is the cost or what is the revenue generated against the expenditure that is made in delivering healthcare services.
Right. How's the training going? I mean, we take for granted that people...
Right, so we've finished
Yeah.
the training for the frontline workers, some medical record staff.
No issues with the computers, though, right? Or are we seeing
No, I mean,
people having...
so they were trained and tested and certified, quote unquote, so they're good to go.
Good.
They're good to go.
Right.
There's some other issues you have to deal with, but the majority of them are good to go.
Excellent.
The second stage now is to tackle the largest cadre, I guess you can say, of healthcare workers, and that's nursing staff. And the public health has a register of about 1,200, give or take 50 staff members, and more than half of them are nurses.
Wow.
So we're starting with nursing. The senior nurses is about approximately 100 and almost 200 of them. And so we're going through the process of every week going through the same training we did with the medical record staff, making sure that they're comfortable with the use of computers, because they also have now some rules, because some of them serve as managers when they go to the family islands as nurses in charge, where there are no administrators. And we need to make sure that they have the capacity to do the job that we're going to ask them to do when they go out there.
Right. Okay. And how long will that process
The training is, again, it's about 200, but we targeted 120. 80 came along somewhere else, but we targeted 120 initially. We've done about, I think, we just started this week. So and it's about 10 to 12 that we're doing each session, and simply because you don't have the space to do larger numbers. We're trying to find a larger computer lab which to train them in. But so we're looking at probably about 10 to 12 cycles of those sessions. And that's, of course, along with the other training, so it has to fall in, because we still want to roll out the clinical works in New Providence starting this month, so that we can finish the smaller clinics, or 2 smaller clinics, and then add the larger clinics as we move on, so that by the end of summer we have everyone covered in New Providence.
Okay. All right. So what happens after this? Once you get past this point, what will be the next few steps?
So this point is the digitization of the health system, public health system. That's the point. What that does is that allows us, again, to have more information, to improve the experience of the person seeking health services in our services, and allow us to provide information to the government as to the risks that are inherent. We talk about, Minister can speak about the catastrophic fund, and how national health insurance needs to migrate towards that. In order for us to do that appropriately and responsibly, you need to have an idea as what your risks are. Do we self-insure? Do we reinsure some other entity? And that information is important. How many persons do you have in your country with diabetes, with hypertension, with cancer, who are controlled, who are not controlled? And that helps to determine your risk factors and make a determination as to, well, what is the premium, quote unquote, you have to pay in order to get those services covered. And of course, the idea is to improve the delivery of services primarily in the public sector. So the information will help us to identify persons who are lost to follow-up, hypertensive patients who don't come for their follow-up visits, persons discharged from the hospital who don't have follow-up visits in time and then end up 2 or 3 weeks later back in hospital, to try to prevent some of that. And then some of the failure of treatment that are experienced in persons who have mental health illnesses, for example, making sure our women who are pregnant are tracked appropriately so that they're not lost to follow-up or hiding in the woodworks, and we don't know where they are. So those are some of the things that we're trying to figure out, trying to use that information for. As it relates to the health and the point of sale, as I mentioned, it gives us an idea of what is the cost to deliver healthcare services. And so when you now talk about how do you cover that cost, we expect it's going to help us to reduce a lot of our duplication of services, because you would know someone who had the same test last week. All right. So that will happen, as well as how do we capture, how do we improve the confidence in the system and even in the family islands, because you do have a lot of visitors who use our services, and right now, in some instances, we're unable to capture the fees associated with their using of our services because they're using credit cards, and we don't accept credit cards. So that's one of the things, to be able to accept credit cards, so persons can pay with the credit or debit cards, and we can accept both cash and credit cards in the initial instance, but then move away from accepting cash at all in our clinics.
Well, what is the timeline of that?
We have one last discussion we're having with the Ministry of Finance, the Treasury Department, and we hope that starts to roll out as early, again, before the end of this month, phasing it, one of our major earners in the food handlers clinic. And we hope that, again, by the end of summer, in New Providence is rolled out, and it's by the end of the year, it's throughout the whole Palm Islands.
Wow. Okay. We're talking with Acting Director of Public Health, Dr. Philip Swan. You can text us your questions, 422-4796. Tweet us or Facebook us as well. You'd mentioned data mining earlier. We've been hearing a lot about that. This is a good thing? Is this good for the members of the public, or what are the benefits and what are the drawbacks from
So
this?
we're not data mining.
Right,
That's
you're not doing
clear.
that.
We're not
But
data mining.
folks out there
are doing it.
Right.
And for AI purposes, right?
And that's always scary.
You're right.
right?
That's, the challenge with AI is it's unregulated. And the question is, how can you regulate it? But it's unregulated. And the health sector, Ministry of Health specifically, has been pushing back against, adopting any AI technologies for patient delivery purposes. When it comes to other aspects of, determining trends, etc., we haven't gotten to that point yet because we don't have the data to do it yet, right? But so those are some of the things that we have to consider. Data mining is really something that the private sector does because, again, there's a value associated with it. It's up in blockchain. There's a value assigned to your medical information, and it can be traded in the blockchain market, and that's actually live and active in the Europe. We went to a conference 2 years ago.
Crazy.
And part of that session was a combined session, one about blockchain transactions in the whole industry, as well as one with data in digital health information.
Right.
So it's there, it's live, it's real. It's there.
Explain to us, how does it work? How do they make this
But
work for them?
if you look at it, if you're doing clinical trials and you need to find individuals who have a certain demographic who difficult to find in general, if I'm able to get your health information, and then I can now induce you to be a part of our trial, then of course you pay for both of that. You pay for the information that you have already, as well as your experience in the trial.
Right.
And that helps large companies to make a determination as to whether or not this drug is safe for this demographic or the sub-demographic, and take it from there.
Yeah. And I guess that will impact the cost of medical services as well going forward.
It might. It
Right.
depends on who's controlling the cost.
Right.
Right.
Is there concern from the Department of Public Health about the cost of insurance, let's say, and what insurance companies provide
heavily
and cover
subsidized,
here?
heavily subsidized by the government, wholly subsidized by the government. Our revenue is nothing to write home about because we don't have the systems that really make sure that the revenue that is collected goes where it needs to go. We're not collecting as much revenue as we think is out there. So this is one of our attempts to demonstrate to the Bahamian people and to the government that we are being responsible with the monies that they give us. So how much money are we spending? How much we are collecting? Insurance companies, we have you come to our clinic now. As a Bahamian citizen, you pay $5 to see the doctor. Sorry, you say $5 for your visit.
Wow.
That's to see the doctor, the nurse, and whoever else sees you. Right now, if you now on the additional services like lab imaging and pharmacy, you pay for that separately. But you can imagine you're paying $5 to see the doctor. As a foreigner, you pay $10. That cannot provide any kind of service anywhere, right? But that's how much is being paid.
Wow.
So if you wouldn't then come to us with your insurance, because why would you do that?
Right.
You understand. And then of course there are the public or civil servants that are free. You don't have to pay at all. So that's about 30,000 persons that do not have to pay any fees when they come to see the physician at the clinic. So the idea is once we identify what is it that we are faced with, then how we can introduce from a financing component, and this is, I think, part of what the NHI bill speaks about, the ability for us now to tap into those persons that have insurance. So it allows us now to charge the fees that are associated with your visit. Okay. I'm not sure how familiar you are, but when you're in the network, there's one fee, and when you're out the network, there's another fee. And so, talking about that kind of discussion, how do we, one, create networks, NHI being one, and you say, okay, this is your set fee if you're in NHI, and if you're not in NHI, this is your fee, and if you're carrying cash over the counter, this is your fee, and with the understanding that every Bahamian has eligibility for NHI, then there should not be any hue and cry about how much money you're being charged to see the doctor in the private sector and public sector, because if you have NHI, just go to the corner and register, then you wouldn't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
So if you end up being assessed a fee to pay, then you want to do that, right? So I mean, so those are some of the things that we're trying to look at, and that's just trying to find ways to increase the revenue and also to reflect the quality of services that are being to assess the correct value, quote unquote, dollar value to the services that are being provided to the average individual who visits our clinic.
Right. So private insurance, that's a consumer issue. You're on your own with that, basically.
Persons who have private insurance?
Right. In terms of rising costs there, that doesn't concern.
Right. So again, I mean, not public health.
Not public
Our
health.
job is to make sure that the public is able to be seen, provide services, regardless of your level or your ability to pay.
All right. So I want to ask you about that. You mentioned maybe only $5 to see the doctor, but you might be waiting a long time to see the doctor.
Well, I think this is why we talk about an appointment system, right? We talk about primary care services, and primary care services is one where it's routine, it's not emergency services. So this is something that you do to prevent any illnesses, to track if you have a diagnosed illness, to maintain that. So we have to understand that component first. Now, to actually see a physician, you're quite right. I think our wait time has been documented to be like over an hour, which has been one of the main challenges that persons have. We surveyed our population, right? Who said was the main challenges of accessing care in the public sector, and that's primarily, and again, that's because we do not have an appointment system. Bahamians, our appointment system is not it's not a timed appointment. So you'll get an appointment to come back at 9 o'clock in the morning. But that's 20 of y'all coming back at 9 o'clock in the morning. Wow. So you're going to wait until the last person is seen after that 9 o'clock in the morning appointment. So we're trying to move to the point where, one, we're able to identify which physicians are working when, give them an appointment for, if it's 3 an hour or 4 an hour, based on the type of consultation that's required. So when you come to the clinic now, your appointment is at 10:15. And even if someone comes in with an emergency, you get seen at 10:15 or 10:30 at the latest, because there's another doctor there to handle that emergency. And so that's one of the benefits we also have of the private sector of trying to, because the number of physicians we have on staff, you have the ability to have timed appointments and then open slots for any urgencies that may walk in the morning. Yeah. So that's one of our goals by the end of this year, to have up and running. Persons can understand that you don't have to drop your loved one off at 7 o'clock in the morning because you got to go to work, and then take a lunch break at 11, 12 to pick them up again, hoping they're being seen. But no, you can drop your relative off.
You know that's not how it is. You come back afterward.
Right, but I mean...
and then they might be ready.
Right, but I mean, not necessarily. No? Because we have, there's a cutoff. And so you can... It's a system that needs to be worked out and addressed, but we will address it. Okay. And the idea is, this is why we need to get this appointment system up and running. And that is
saying by the end of the year?
No, but the appointment system will be up and running in our clinics. I think we're looking at that by the end of June.
Okay.
Right, in Providence. June, July, the latest. Again, we're piloting this, phasing it, I guess you can say, so that at the end of the time, we'll have the appointment system, and then the use of it, of course, is going to be another challenge, because Bahamians don't necessarily appreciate the importance of appointments. Speaking to myself. But it's going to take a lot of education, a lot of grace in the system to understand that, things happen, but we're trying to move along in a way to make things better for you, the public, as well as for the healthcare provider. Because if I know how many persons I have to see before I come into work, that automatically increases my quality of life in the workplace.
Absolutely. All right, so let's paint a picture for the future. After IS4H is implemented, everything is worked out. What are we looking at 5, maybe 10 years down the road with public health services here in the country? What are we likely to experience?
So I would forecast that there is a need, or there is a push. And I say public health, public health sector, put it that way. Because right now it's a public health, public community clinics. There is a push to collate primary care services and tertiary care services in one entity. And so that will be one new authority that covers all of those clinical services delivery. Wow. The public health component will remain, because that's population health. That's your tracking of we came to the fore during COVID-19 in most persons' most recent memory. And that's making sure that there's no infection going on. We're tracking persons with hypertension, diabetes. We're doing programs to ensure or to provide information to reduce the risk factors associated with chronic diseases and infections. That's the public health component. But moving ahead, you expect that you in your home, you want to see the doctor, you go on your computer, your phone, you make an appointment. You get reminders for your appointment a week before, a day before, the day of. Your appointment is so and so, and then if you miss your appointment, you get a call back from the clinic or a message saying we missed your appointment. What's going on? And then, of course, if you miss another appointment, someone reaches out to you directly. That's the first component. The second component is you had an appointment, you saw the doctor, or you were discharged from the hospital, and your appointment, because of the demand, is 2 or 3 weeks beyond when you were supposed to be seen. We have a team to go to visit you in your home or wherever you arrange to meet to see how you're doing. That is documented so that when you finally get to see you finally get to see the physician, that information is available. You have a child in school, or you take part in one of our screening events in the community. That information goes to your your patient portal that says, Dwight Strachan saw this, was out at the Red Cross and they had this event and he was screened and this is his parameters. So that's in your record. That you have access to the information. So now when you go back to see your doctor says, okay, we saw that your pressure was controlled, not controlled during this time, and it becomes part of the management.
If I go to a
care.
fair,
if
it would be like
a health screening fair that we do, So, and of course, and you let us know.
Fantastic
and
future.
You let us know that who your doctor's name is,
right.
and you give us permission to share the information with him or her.
Okay.
And that's a consent form that is signed at that site. So that kind of information is that's where we look.
And you can opt out of that if you
wish.
Of course,
right? Definitely,
okay.
You can opt out of that.
Wow.
But that's where we want to be. That's what we like. That's what we'd like to see in the next. I wouldn't even say 5 years. In the next 2 years, that's what we expect to be.
Okay, excellent. We're going to hold you to this, Dr. Swan.
You can.
Yeah. All right, we've got to have you back, definitely. Dr. Philip Swan, Acting Director of the Department of Public Health. This is very exciting. Keep us posted on this, please.
No problem.
Appreciate it. All right, have a great weekend.
All right, before I go, I'd like to wish all of the mothers out there,
of course,
for the Ministry of Health, Department of Public Health, Public Hospital Authority, National Health Insurance, and my own mother and grandmama who turns 85 later this month.
Oh, wow.
Happy Mother's Day.
Wonderful, wonderful. Right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, let's take a break, folks, and then we got the final few minutes of Morning Blend Business after this. Stay with us.
You know I was legal when I come to you. You gave me food, clothes, and protection too. You said don't worry about a thing, just show your loyalty. It's the comfort that you'll bring. When I look around, I got papers and passport waiting on my visa. I don't gonna be straight. Boss lady tell me send for family. She can clean me out and I am the clothes for me. Confidential, it's a confidential thing. This matter is serious, we don't know what it will bring. Confidential, we must regulate this thing. Confidential, we don't know what it will bring. Modern pension key.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Hear what Boss Man was saying in the back there just now? About what? The luncheon? Why you always worried about food? No, about how we gotta pay a little more for national insurance. Mildred, you talking fool. I can't afford to pay that. And you always crying palm out. Ain't gonna be much. Boss still gotta pay. 1st of July, 2024. I think that criminal benefit is what did help my boy Tony through the pandemic. That same unemployment benefit. And guess what? What? Susan, I think she'd get a pregnancy benefit, eh? You mean maternity benefit, eh? So now, we gotta do our part to make sure we get our pension. All right.
For more information, visit NIPrateincrease.com.
Make Mother's Day one to remember with a delightful Mother's Day brunch valued at $300 courtesy of Haagen-Dazs and Fun Foods Wholesale. It's simple. Just head over to Lickety Split or Super Value locations and purchase a pint of your favorite Haagen-Dazs ice cream for just $8.99. After purchasing, don't forget to write your full name and number on the back of your receipt and drop it into any entry box at the store. You're now in the running for our grand prize drawing, taking place on May 10th. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Happy Mother's Day from Haagen-Dazs. Promotion ends May 8th.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
BWF wishes all mothers a happy Mother's Day. As we celebrate you, mothers wear many hats. For these hats, we say thank you for your unconditional love, commitment, sacrifices, and dedication. Hamper your mother with love this Mother's Day with a gift from BWF during our 2 weeks of Mother's Day savings. Up to 40% off Monday, April 29th through Saturday, May 11th. Savings include appliances, kitchen and outdoor cooking supplies, houseware supplies, bath towel gift sets, quilts, comforters and sheet sets, curtains, floral decor, and much, much more. Open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. BWF, we are more than just our name. Number 13 Wilton Street, telephone 394-0004 or 6. Check us out on Facebook. We ship to the Family Islands.
John Bull presents its annual Mother's Day Garden Party. Shop new spring collection for her. Redefine your style. Find inspiration as you browse this season's standout. Be entertained. Special live art and music feature with Preston Hanna and DJ Super Mario. There will be photo keepsakes, gift personalization, perfume engraving, and henna. There's a spring style showcase. Dress in your season's best. Sign up for their spring fashion walk in store for a chance to win a $500 gift card. Scope of the latest scents, skincare, and makeup trends. There will be in-store raffles, gifts with purchase, and gourmet bites and beverages. Indulge in sweet delights. That's Saturday, May 11th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at John Bull 284 Bay Street. That's John Bull's annual Mother's Day Garden Party, hosted by the Natural Empress.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It is time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, the Bahamas National Statistical Institute, the BNSI, recording an 0.1% increase in the inflation rate for the month of February 2024 when compared to January of this year. The BNSI explained that the increase is a reflection of the overall prices of goods purchased during the review period. BNSI saying this increase follows a 0.6% decrease in the inflation rate between the months of January and December of last year. January 2024 and December of last year. It said that on a month-to-month basis, the major increases by group included health, recreation, education, transportation, food, and non-alcoholic beverages, along with clothing and footwear. Meanwhile, the major categories of restaurants and hotels, along with communications, showed a decline of 1.3% and 2.3% for the month of February when compared to January. More on this in today's Guardian business section. The Bahamas has not let go of its home porting aspirations. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper telling Cruise Industry News recently in an exclusive interview explained that the limited number of hotel rooms in New Providence acts as an impediment to the idea at this time, though. Nassau's cruise port was turned into a home port for 2 cruise lines before the U.S. opened its ports to cruise operations as the COVID pandemic came to an end. Cooper told Cruise Industry News that the country is still interested in acting as a home port, though the number of rooms in the capital would have to increase in order to support such operations. The Water and Sewage Corporation and the Bahamas Water Supply Improvement Project is integrating climate considerations into its design. The corporation is saying in a statement to the media that the BWSIP, the Supply Improvement Project, is taking proactive steps to address climate change and build resilience in water infrastructure. The project's climate risk vulnerability assessment and adaptation plan will assess vulnerabilities and formulate adaptation strategies across multiple islands. The Bahamas Investment Authority is looking to close the gap on concessions granted to developers and Bahamians in an effort to change the national investment policy to allow for more Bahamian-only sectors. Director of Investments in the BIA, Felicia Hannah Woods, saying during the Office of the Prime Minister press briefing that the national investment policy has a list of sectors that are currently reserved for Bahamians. Investment applications are processed based on the current list, and what they're doing is looking at concessions that are currently being granted to developers under the Hotels Encouragement Act, the City of Nassau Revitalization Act, the Agricultural Manufacturers Act, and other acts that provide for concessions to see where they can close the gap, especially in the supply sector. And local shipping company ShipX is growing rapidly and has doubled its size in the last 3 years, boasting a 200-plus customer base in used car freight alone. The company's launching a cold shipments practice by the end of the summer. Details on that in today's Guardian Business section. Overseas, the British economy bounced back strongly in the first 3 months of the year, bringing to an end what economists termed as a technical recession. The official figures showing today from the Office for National Statistics that the economy grew by 0.6% in the first quarter from the previous 3-month period, with broad-based strength across the crucial services sector in particular. The increase was higher than the 0.4% predicted by economists, and the strongest since the fourth quarter of 2021, when the economy was rebounding following the sharp contraction during the COVID pandemic. It comes after 2 quarters of modest declines, which in the UK is defined as a recession. Despite the quarterly increase, the British economy has barely grown over the past year. It has been hobbled by interest rates as 16-year highs of 5.25%. But there was hope that they may be on the way down soon, the Bank of England, indicating that a rate cut may be in the cards in June if inflation continues to trend downward. And China is actively seeking foreign investment to boost its slowing growth, but that very sluggishness is weighing on company plans to expand their businesses in the world's second largest economy. That's according to an annual survey of more than 500 European companies. The slowing economy is now the dominant concern of respondents to the European Chamber of Commerce in China survey, which was released today. China still ranks high as a place to invest, but the share of companies considering an expansion of their operations in the country fell this year to 42%, the lowest ever recorded. According to the survey, business outlook is the most pessimistic yet, with companies' expectations for growth and profitability taking a hit and concerns about competition intensifying. The economic worries are layered on top of long-running complaints about regulations and practices that companies say favor their Chinese competitors or are unclear, creating uncertainty for them and their employees. Others, including the American Chamber in China, have expressed similar concerns. And closer to home in your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Thursday. Your market movers: Consolidated Water down 1 cent, closing at $5.63. Emera Incorporated up 4 cents, closing at $8.66. The BISX All Share Index closing at 2,938.52, up 0.03. That's your Market Watch. And that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back here with Morning Blend, our final minute of Morning Blend business on this Friday before Mother's Day. So definitely want to echo the sentiments of our guest, Dr. Philip Swan, wishing everybody a wonderful, happy Mother's Day on Sunday, including my mom. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, and wishing everybody a great weekend. We're going to be back on Monday with another week of Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight, Strachan, have a great one. Stay tuned with Aaron Green. Let's leave you with some Mama from Boys to Men. Enjoy.
Whenever I was down, you were always there to come.